Coffee grows cold on the kitchen table. Morning news plays to an empty room. Detective's badge feels heavier today. Another case, another life consumed.
All right, folks, welcome back to MJ on Crime. I'm your host, MJ. Today, we're diving headfirst into the murky waters of the dark web. Now, I know some of you are probably picturing hacker movies or those grainy news stories with the word dark flashing red on the screen, but let's slow down a second, because the truth, it's a little more complicated and honestly, a whole lot more interesting. So let's break it down first by talking about how the internet is layered up. Picture an iceberg. I know it's a tired analogy, but stick with me. At the very tip, we've got the surface web, the stuff you can find with a regular old Google search. That's your news articles, shopping sites, cat videos, the internet most of us use every day. Then there's the deep web, which is way bigger. Think hospital records, academic databases, private company intranets, anything that's not indexed by search engines. Now, beneath all that, you've got the dark web. It's tiny little slice, but it's intentionally hidden. You can't just stumble on it. You need special software. Tor is the big one, the onion router. Funny enough, it was actually cooked up by the U.S. Naval Research Lab back in the mid-90s. The goal, secure anonymous communication for government intelligence. But once you build a cloak, it's only a matter of time before everyone starts wearing it for good and bad reasons. See, Tor is built to hide your tracks. Traffic bounces from server to server, wrapped in layers of encryption like a digital onion. That's what makes it a powerful tool for privacy, but also a magnet for the kind of shady business law enforcement loses sleep over. And let me tell you, I've lost my fair share of sleep over what goes on down there. Speaking of sleepless nights, let's talk about some cases that brought the dark web out of the shadows and right into the headlines. You've probably heard of the Silk Road. If you haven't, it was basically the Amazon of illicit goods, hosted right on the dark web. Started by Ross Ulbricht, guy went by the name Dread Pirate Roberts. Yeah, like the movie. This place was a bazaar of drugs, fake IDs, all sorts of nastiness running from 2011 until Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, busted it open in 2013. I remember it well. HSI and the multi-agency task force, FBI, CBP, DEA, Secret Service, IRS, had been tracking bits and pieces, watching the forums, seeing the chatter. But when the news broke, Silk Road was busted. It was pure chaos. Everyone wanted to know what we missed, how it got so big, and more importantly, what would pop up in its place. And boy, trust me, other markets did just that. Alphabay, Hansa. But law enforcement didn't just sit back. In 2014, you had Operation Onimus, a joint effort involving Europol, the FBI, HSI, and other three-letter agencies again. They took down hundreds of dark web domains dealing guns, fake cash, stolen info. It was a big deal, but if I'm honest, it felt like playing digital whack-a-mole. You shut one down and three more pop up. But these cases woke up the public to the fact that, yeah, there's a criminal underground online, and yes, we actually catch the bad guys. Now, before you start thinking the dark web is just some global crime syndicate, let's pump the brakes and tackle a few myths. First, is it as huge and all-encompassing as everyone says? Nope, not even close. I've seen folks claim it's bigger than the regular internet, but reality check. It's a tiny fraction, less than 0.1% of the web's content, and most of it's, honestly, not that interesting. The other big myth, if you go on the dark web, you're automatically in trouble. Not so. Just using Tor or visiting a hidden service isn't illegal in most places. It's what you do there that matters. Here's something you might not expect. there's legit stuff happening too. Journalists use it to protect sources, political dissidents, whistleblowers, that whole democracy dies in darkness thing. A lot of those folks are depending on the dark web for secure communication. Even places like Facebook and the BBC have hidden versions for users in censored countries. And get this, a lot of cybercrime doesn't even start on the dark web. The average scam, phishing, malware, data theft usually begins with an email or a regular old website. Sometimes the mundane is more dangerous than the mysterious. Sounds strange, but true. But here's the part that troubles cops and agents. Tracking anyone on the dark web isn't like running a plate number. The architecture, the way it scrambles your trail, bounces info all over the globe, makes following the money or the people a nightmare. Law enforcement's had to get creative. In 2016, Europol started the Dark Web Team, a bunch of technical wizards focused on busting hidden markets and pulling back the curtain. The tech's always evolving. By the time you crack one method, new encryption or decentralized systems pop up. It's a never-ending chess match. Back in my day when we tried to pin down suspects, half the challenge wasn't just who did it, but where are they? Our cyber teams would be sweating over server logs, sometimes days on end. We'd get one step closer and then lose the digital trail. Now I respect the privacy advocates, and I respect their stance. They will argue we can't just bulldoze anonymity or we risk trampling over civil liberties. As a Fed, I felt that pressure. You want to catch the criminals, but you're always balancing it against the rights everyone's supposed to have. Makes every win and every mistake a lot more complicated. That leads right into the heart of the debate, this double-edged sword. Civil liberties folks, like the pros over at the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, argue the dark web is downright necessary in some corners of the world. Tools like Tor can be a lifeline for privacy, for free speech, especially when you're up against governments who don't play fair. But then you have cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin especially, that kicked open the door for anonymous deals, good and bad. You got to ask yourself, should we be spending all our effort hunting down the dark web, or should we put more into helping people stay safe online? There are folks worried sick about what's out there, afraid their info's been sold or their kids are a target. The truth is you can't put the genie back in the bottle. We need more digital literacy and better cybersecurity practices. People got to know how to protect themselves. Sometimes that means understanding how privacy tools work, not just avoiding them. So, what's next? The dark web's not static. We're seeing new marketplaces, new anonymizing tech, and smarter threat actors every year. Law enforcement, meanwhile, is getting more coordinated, using machine learning, undercover operations, and tracking crypto like never before. There's even talk of using AI to spot patterns across multiple dark web forums. But trust me, the same AI arms race is happening on the other side too. For regular folks and organizations, there's no surefire way to stay away and be totally safe. But here's what you can do. Practice good digital hygiene. Protect your passwords. Avoid clicking on sketchy links. Make sure your communications, emails, chats are secure. The bottom line? The dark web is a tool, not a cartoon villain. Its future, just like the rest of the internet, depends on how we use it and how sharp we stay. Keep your eyes open, keep the questions coming, and I'll say it again, every crime has a story. My mission, tell it. Catch you next time on MJ on Crime.
Coffee grows cold on the kitchen table. Morning news plays to an empty room. Detectives badge feels heavier today. Another case, another life consumed. Questions pile up like autumn leaves, no wind to blow them all away. Who holds the weight of truth when lies drink deeper than roots? Family photos sliding in the man's straight, smiling faces high legs beneath. Evidence bags in yellow tape mark the boundary between love and grief. Questions pile up like autumn leaves, no wind to blow them all away. Who holds the weight of truth when lies run deeper than roots? Deeper than roots. Small town silence speaks volumes behind closed doors and drawn curtains. Every neighbor becomes suspect when trust breaks like glass on pavement. Someone's world just changed forever, forever changed.